got a lot of hair. I'm sorry. I'm trying to like get it. Just put it over a bit. That works better. Wasn't. Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Moon Underwater. I'm Kelly Daniels.
And I'm Steve Jones. Feels a little more like the Moon Underground.
The Moon Underground. Here we are in Los Angeles, California. And
Bar
we're
CDMX.
Here with Kimberly Ann Priest, who is a real trooper. We've been looking around to find a place to record forever. And Kimberly, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Let's pause to have a drink. I mean,
All
I feel
right.
like we've been working at this for a while.
Note the tahini on ours. That was the choice.
Tahini.
I made it.
Tahini. That wasn't fake, by the way. So Steve and I just flew into LA just like an hour ago or something. It's been a long, long day.
You know what I want to say, right?
Well, our wings are tired.
Our
arms
Yeah.
tired. Yeah, that's hilarious.
I know.
Hilarious. We're starting
That's what I bring
strong
to the table here at the Moon Underwater.
And Kimberly and I didn't. We've just met, except for some emails. And so she's this innocent poet who's got a new book to promote, and she's here at the Writers Conference, AWP. And she's like, yeah, there's podcasts that'll probably be good for my career and all that kind of stuff. Little did she know that she's going to be dragged first to where we're supposed to record at this wine bar under our hotel, and they were having a private party. Then we went to this dive bar, and it was good, but by the time we got our gear, the Golden Gopher. So we're walking all over the place, and we finally found this place called Comics. And downtown Los Angeles.
CDMX.
What?
It's CDMX, as in Ciudad de Mexico.
No,
Mexico City.
I thought it said Comics.
CDMX.
Wow, that's so much cooler than
that's why
Comics.
there's tahini. That's why
And we're drinking.
Maybe that's why it's empty in here, because people think it's comics. They're like, oh,
No,
that's kind of lame.
So this is a basement bar, and we finally came down here, and they've been as cool
This is
as
super cool.
they can be.
Yeah.
Like the bartenders, the manager, everybody's helping us out. And Kimberly was just kind of cruising along, going, "No, let's do it. Let's, we're walking through the streets of Los Angeles, and it's been pretty cool."
Yeah,
So-
downtown. So we did some prep for this show, right? You had us watch a couple movies. Why don't you? What did we watch?
Gilda and Gaslight.
Okay. What years are these from?
Oh goodness.
It's
Now I have-
quiz the poor lady.
You can go like a decade.
Okay, Gaslight. Well, I think Gaslight's 1944. I know that.
Yep.
Gilda, I want to say 1946.
I think so. Yeah. So
I
the
think
40s.
that's right. Yeah,
So-
it's 40s.
So 40s. Needless to say, things I have never seen. Yeah.
No, I've not watched either one, but I've heard the term gaslight quite a lot. But I'm curious, what's your interest in these kind of old black and white movies? It has something to do with your poetry, right? And so what's your interest in it?
Well, actually, the movies come long before the poetry, long before I even thought about being a poet or thought about poetry at all. I started watching old movies when I was very young. I grew up on them all the time. Watched lots of black and white films. Still watch the same films over and over again. I don't get sick of them. So the poetry books came later, much later, and so I'm writing about these movies because I already love them.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot to love. Your book that just came out is called Tether and Lung.
Yes.
I ordered it, didn't get it in time to bring with, but I know. This is your second book or your third?
Yeah, it's my second full-length book. I've got a few chapbooks.
Okay.
But yeah, it's my second full-length.
And didn't you win a prize for a third book that's coming out soon? Is that
in October? Yeah, Wolves and Shells.
Jeez.
Backwaters Press Prize.
So you're
Congrats.
kind of kicking ass.
I guess so.
And all at once, so that's cool. Thanks for coming on the show with us.
You bet.
Yeah.
I have none. None
No
coming out.
No books coming out.
Nothing.
I don't want to talk about it.
I was gonna say, what about you, Kelly?
Yeah, well, it's in the works.
That's
It's
always
in
the question, right?
No, it is never the question. Should never ask a writer, what's coming out, because if something's coming out, they will tell you. And
It's true.
I remember meeting writers when I kind of first started who would like brag about where they sent like submissions. Hey man, I sent something to the New Yorker, and then like 6 months later, people are still going, so how'd that thing you sent to the New Yorker go? And you realize, okay, you shouldn't say that.
Oh yeah, I never brag about where I send anything
No.
because I'd rather they didn't know where I'm rejected from.
Or how many rejections you
Right?
get.
Oh, way too many.
So you are a, I don't know that I would say a small town. Are you from a small town? Kind
Oh,
you're
yeah.
You're Michigander, right? Originally?
Yeah, and I say that I'm from Lawrence, Michigan, but I grew up in various parts of Michigan, like Birch Run, Dowagiac, but Lawrence is way up in the Keweenaw Peninsula and the Upper Peninsula, and you don't get much. You didn't get more small town.
A
than
Youper.
that. I'm a Youper.
Oh,
Yes.
you should have
been to the
mentioned
UP.
that.
Oh, it's
I've
a
been
place to be.
near Ironwood.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's on the other side, but yeah. Which part of, because it's like it's here, right? You got the mitten.
You got the mitt, and then you got the. I'm doing
this
it.
way? Oh, it's that way.
It's a.
Okay, so it's near Ironwood.
It's right. Yeah, it's right
Yeah.
on Lake Superior, and
Okay.
it'd be just north of Ironwood.
Oh wow. Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh yeah, it was. I didn't appreciate it enough in my youth.
Yeah.
But I look back now and I'm like, I want to go back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I just want to hide out there the rest
Well,
of
and
my
it's
life.
a hard
It's great.
place to get to, which makes it really interesting when you get there, right? And so I know somebody with a place there that they're like, oh, you should come up to our place in the UP. It's like, yeah, sure, we'll go do that. Well, a couple weeks later, we were doing just that and loved it. But you start out on, you're going north, and we're going through Madison, we're going past there, then all of a sudden the road's getting narrower. It's not an interstate anymore. Now it's a 2-lane. Now it's lined with pine trees.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, the trees.
Well, I'll add to this by saying I roofed a house in Sheboygan once.
That's pretty close.
It's like almost
It is
the same.
pretty close.
it's-
I mean,
It's
I
on
went
a-
across the Mackinac Bridge. Mackinac or Mackinac?
Mackinac.
Mackinac Bridge.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
There
you
it
said
goes.
Mackinac at the time.
I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was good old Vinny Roosh.
All right.
His dad was, as Vinny put it, sorry, Vinny, he said he was kind of a slumlord. And he hired us one summer, we were graduate students, to re-roof one of his houses that he was renting. And so that was probably the last construction work I ever was paid for. So
Not that you did.
that I did what?
Well, you said the last construction work you ever paid for. That indicates.
Oh,
there
no,
was
I do
additional
stuff for my own
okay.
home and
All
stuff
right.
like that.
All right.
I don't know if I'd call that construction, but I'm not paid for it.
I know my limits.
So,
For the most
hey,
part, I don't. Yeah.
Let's wait before we get to Gilda and Gaslight. I was kind of building this up. I'm wondering how LA is treating you so far, and you were kind of telling me in email that you're not like a big city kind of minded person.
Set it on the
So-
walk
No.
here. I might even add.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
seem
all right.
like you're totally chill
Yeah, you
with
seem
it all, but you went to the Walk of Fame and saw the stars and all that, and what?
I always underestimate myself. I get on the ground and I'm like, oh, I can do this. But it's, there's a lot of anxiety going up to, I'm living in Maine and, in the woods again. And so I'm not used to navigating cities. And, but yeah, since I've been here, I've figured a lot out and it's not so bad at all.
Very cool.
I've done the metro.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm basically from here now.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you
it.
are. You're-
Basically,
You
yeah.
are.
You're an
Basically.
Angelino.
Look, I need to be going to Westwood. I'm going to go see UCLA. So this weekend, so you have to let me know how to get there on the bus.
Okay, I can
That's
do
the
that.
Plan.
I got it.
Yeah, you
Yes.
got it covered. It's fine.
So should we start with Gilda? That was the first one I watched for no good reason, and it also feels like Gaslight is the one just because the name
Everybody knows.
is so much
Yeah.
more kind of culturally in people's minds right
That's kind
now.
of why I did it.
My mom
That's
Oh, yeah.
has seen
kind of why,
Gaslight.
yeah.
My mom was like, "That movie's huge."
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. And
Right.
oh my gosh, I mean, I could go on and on, but I love Ingrid Bergman. She's just an incredible star.
Definitely.
But Gaslight is the one that, fingers crossed, I will have a contract for soon. So that will be the first one. You know, the Rita book I'm working on isn't even near finished. It's in the works and it's in my mind and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
So I come at this from a little different perspective. I have things in my head that involve code, and it's like, what we need to do is do this before we do that, and then it's got to execute this at the end. And I'm like, I have it in my head. I have it mapped out. People are like, can you write it down? Can you? I'm like, that makes it real. Like it's one of those, I formulated it. I can tell you how I want it done. Could I do it? Probably. Will it be what I want when I'm done? No. And do I have the time to fix it? No. So I'm a little envious of being able to put something down and think about it and then go back and change it and getting the time, because that's what you do. Because that's sort of what I did, coding wise, and I don't get to do that anymore. They turn that part of my brain off.
Well, I don't have any friends, so I have a lot of time to write poetry.
Me either. I'm looking right at him. So.
Well, I think the older we get, our friends got the need for friends or the time for friends kind of drops off a little. Not that I'm saying you're old. Boy, that was
Wow.
really.
I have a grandchild.
You do?
I do.
Oh,
so
my
yeah,
goodness.
I guess I've hit old.
Wow.
I would. Yeah. Well.
Anyway.
All right, Grandma.
No comment, except I'm very surprised. But hey, that's I'm sure that's wonderful and joyous and all that kind of stuff.
He's
and,
a sweetie. He's a sweetie.
Nice. So, I enjoyed watching Gilda. What I don't know how. I know that you love it, Steve. What was your reaction? I mean, you're probably not an old timey movie guy, and
you might say
I'm not.
that.
But I thought it was pretty fun. And soon as Gilda shows up on the scene,
She is trouble.
She
And
is
it's
a
great.
firecracker.
She's
just there, and
Rita Hayworth is
her
Gilda.
the first line goes, "Dear, are you decent?" And I forget the line. Maybe you know it. It's something like, "I'm kind of decent," or something
Right.
like that. I don't think kind of, but
Doesn't she say, "Who me?" Or
Who
me?
It's something
who me?
like that.
Flips her
But she
hair,
did-
and
yeah.
I should have watched it again before I came here.
She is. She is so hot in the movie. She is and the attitude is awesome. She comes off with this sort of, we talked more than we should have, because I watched it and I had Kelly Daniels, not my version of Kelly Daniels in my head, and he said to me, she's kind of bratty.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
that's exactly the word.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's great.
Yeah,
she is
she's
fantastic.
very bratty
Yeah.
in the movie. I'm probably, as we get talking about this, though, I'm probably going to disappoint you.
oh, okay.
Oh,
all
hit
right.
me with
How
it.
are you going to disappoint us, Spike?
Rita Hayworth, the person, was pretty much the straight up opposite of Gilda.
Then I love it
And
more.
everybody loves, and I love Gilda. And of course, yeah, the movie's great because she's just...
She nails it, right? That's
she's
the
good.
role.
She's
nails
so good
it.
in the
Especially if she's
movie.
the opposite of that.
And she became Gilda
yeah.
after that, and everybody's imagination. It did actually really do a lot of harm to her real life.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, and she got typecast after that. She became Gilda in every movie, and the producer just wanted to make money off that image. But I tell you what, what's great about Rita in that movie and in all of her movies is she has this natural sensuality that you can't
totally.
you can't pretend, you have to have, and she just could turn that on. It was
That's
great.
absolutely the word, by the way. Sensuality. She
This-
had just a way that she talked and moved, and it was. She was brilliant. I loved it.
Okay,
And
there's a scene. Okay, this is a long time ago that this was recorded, and I always think people were more prudish back in the day.
Okay.
And then what you realize, it's just not true.
No.
Society goes in these waves of Puritanism
Yeah.
and liberal or libertarianism, I guess. No, that's not the right word, but being a libertine. Libertinianism.
We get it.
It's,
wow.
We got it. We
Leave
got
it to
it.
the
We
English
got it.
professor
They-
making up words.
But anyway, that scene that the camera starts with the tip of her toe
Oh,
with a
it's great.
stocking that's pointing straight up.
Are you reading
And then
my
the
notes?
camera goes down her leg, and then the rest of that scene, she is wearing a completely see-through
She was.
like dress, and she's going out to the window, and I'm like, that is racy as fuck.
And then, he comes in.
Yeah.
He comes in to tell her that she needs to close the window. Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, yeah,
That scene
a
is
little too
fantastic.
stimulating.
It was great.
Yeah.
You must be reading my notes because I'm like, the stocking, like that would have been super racy.
I think
for
we just have
1944.
something in common.
We like Rita Hayworth.
Between us.
Yeah, I know.
Like, yeah.
I know. I mean,
But yeah, it like, my eyes snapped open. It was really quite a scene, and so they're trying to sell. So the story. So in these really old movies, one of the things I struggle with is, and I write fiction mainly in memoir, but I really want stories to kind of make sense on a traditional plot level and like character motivation and all that boring
Yeah.
stuff.
well,
And people are pretty out there in these old movies and over the top, and I'll do anything for love kind of thing.
or for a tungsten monopoly. Either way.
yeah, there's
was the part
that.
I was like,
but
wait,
this
what?
guy's throwing away this gangster bad guy, he owns everything, is gonna just throw it all away because he's fallen in love with Gilda. And I don't know. I'm like, I think the whole movie is trying to make the case that she is that special.
Yes.
And I think it goes pretty far toward it. But I don't know. Do you ever think, like when you watch these old movies, do you just not worry about the, I guess what we could call the cheesiness of the plot and the over dramatic kind of?
I didn't think this plot was that bad. That's me.
It was terrible. you know, and I can tell you that because the movie was actually written on the fly.
Okay.
So they didn't have a script. Basically, Harry Cohn said we need to make money off of Rita, and Virginia Van Open. And I'm going to sound like I know a lot, but I don't know everything about this classic movie world. But she wrote the movie on the fly, like literally. Here's a scene, Rita, do this. Here's a scene,
Wow.
do this.
That
and
makes
so
sense.
they didn't even know what the story was going to be until the end. And what actually kind of the part of the movie that confused everybody. People, of course, went to the theaters to see it. This was before TV screens were in our living room.
Yeah.
So going back to your point, cheesy as heck. All of these movies are super cheesy. They're tropey. They're all this stuff, and I think that's what I like about them. But she at the end, she basically says to Johnny, she's like, I actually haven't been, sleeping around with. They doesn't use that language, but with all these guys, like it's all been an act.
Yeah.
And people were actually like, wait, what? Because they thought like, well, where's the character just lost her motivation
Right.
or whatever. Like they just felt like that had to be the thing she was doing. So they felt it, and that had to do with the censors. That had to do with what they were. The kind. Well, maybe it wasn't the censors. I have to remember now. It was Rita had an image. She was the all-American girl.
Sure.
Yeah.
And of course, she was created, but there was an expectation that she be a certain way. So I don't recall if it was the censors or if it was just sort of the public
Maybe
expectation.
She had a contract too, where it was like
she had a
whoever it
law.
was, and they're like, you're not going to do this. Like this isn't going to work.
Oh no, Harry Cohn would have had her. Yeah, he was a terrible person. I'm sure he would have been more than happy to let her do anything. But again, without my notes, I can't remember everything. But I
That's
know
okay.
I know that the ending was like to please either the censors or the public.
Got it.
And so
Oh, yeah, totally.
So something is it is a total. I mean, the ending is. The whole
It doesn't
movie
ma-
is
the
terrible,
ending-
but
It's a
ending doesn't
happy
make-
ending
But
after
it's-
this guy,
I know,
this
right?
complete psychopath,
I know.
kept
yes.
her imprisoned,
Yeah.
and then had
he's a
his
very
goons
abusive
follow.
person.
Oh my god!
He's so abusive. I actually have been working with a student who we've been studying World War II pinup models because Rita was the second top pinup model during
Okay.
World War II, and so that's what we've been looking around. And she's doing a project on. Bikini Atoll and the bikini bathing suit,
Sure.
bringing together sort of how Americans were consumers and how we're sort of sensitized, made comfortable with these military things. So there's this whole thing around it. But she watched Gilda. I'm getting somewhere. She watched Gilda, and she's young, right? And we've got all of this history of like women's studies, and she's a history major, and she watches Gilda and she goes, "Oh my God. He was so bad. He was so abusive." And she's like, I don't understand why she gets together with him at the end and why this is the happy ending. Like, she's just confounded by the whole thing.
It is pretty insane. Okay. So
I just ruined the movie for you.
No. That's how I felt it.
That's how we do
completely.
Okay.
And
You're allowed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally bad in that way, and yet what's so amazing about it is like you've got Rita Hayworth, like just a wonderful actress, able to pull this part off.
She carries it. Yeah.
I don't know
gosh.
what your youths were like, but this definitely made the Bugs Bunny cartoons of my childhood make a lot more sense.
Oh, totally.
Because Bugs Bunny was constantly like dressing as a woman and doing that dance.
Totally.
He would do the Carmen. What's her name? Carmen something. The banana. Anyway.
With
the
Oh,
cha-cha-cha kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was that
I know who you're
same
talking
kind
about.
of dance, and Bugs Bunny was always doing that, and they had the lavish restaurants and the beautiful that like great party. So much of that world is just wealth and parties, and they were obsessed with Latin America. I really think they loved
It's very
the fact
exoticized.
that it was
Yeah.
Argentina, and the whole Nazi plot was pretty interesting.
I was wondering. I was like, wait, were there Japanese people that they made racist jokes about in the movie? No, it was the Germans. They kept calling them the Krauts. I'm like, okay.
Well, you're allowed.
Like
to do
you're
that.
allowed. That's okay.
I
And
think
was like,
you
wait
can
a
make
minute.
fun of the Krauts and the Ruskies.
Right.
Like doing a Russian accent is hilarious.
Right.
That's kind of it. Like
yeah.
that.
Well, yeah.
Maybe you can make fun of a Swede, but there's a limit to.
They're coming for you if you do.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. But Curtis von Dunkelaar might.
What did you just call me?
Might have something to say about this.
Okay.
Wait. I wanted to talk about Obregon.
Can I talk about there is a nice side of domestic abuse. Like,
Yeah.
Everybody's
he smacks
hitting everybody else.
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, she hits him pretty good.
There's
I'm
a
like,
lot of hitting.
That's how it went in those days.
I was like, what is happening? Like, well, this is not what I expected. But part of my going back to the comment about like what the plot looked like. This story is pretty simple, and this is true, I think, of both of them to some degree, where there wasn't like the twist where, oh, gotcha, like they've written it in, they're going to get you in some way, and I felt like that it felt a little more simple. I was able to suspend my belief in reality and watch it and go, God, a tungsten monopoly. I don't know what you'd want with one of those. And later, as we're talking about it, I'm like, what the fuck am I thinking? That doesn't make any sense. And it had very little to do.
What is tungsten? Is it steel?
It is some kind of it's an alloy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tungsten steel.
That
I don't
sounds
know.
right.
I think that if you could, I think that little speech
Johnny-
the guy gave, if you control the minerals, you control everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like
But they
heavy.
went with tungsten. And
Yeah,
I
I don't know.
was like, okay. Yeah, I'm
the
like,
atomic bomb, right?
yeah.
Oh, so you
Isn't
can
that-
make more atomic bombs.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Is that
No.
part of the competition?
You don't need
of-
tungsten.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No?
I like.
Well, maybe.
I like it.
I'm gonna go with
Tube
yes.
alloy is actually what you need for the atomic
I'm
bomb,
going
so.
with Kimberly.
I'm gonna go.
I
yeah.
don't know if you need tungsten too. So, but
Probably.
this was like Cold War era.
Yeah.
That,
Wow.
we're dealing with. So,
Yeah, I guess this one was right because it was 46.
I think so. Yeah. Like
yeah.
right. I'm not
We're
an
saying
expert
it's
on
46.
these things either.
We're saying
so.
it's 46. It is in stone right now, 1946.
I think it was 19. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the right date. Yeah.
You are the world's
yeah.
leading expert in this film.
I'm
So-
not.
Well-
I'm actually not. It's funny. I just I adore the movie Casablanca. Who doesn't? And I'd watched it a dozen times, and then I went to a theater in Pittsburgh that only plays old movies, and I watched it on the theater, and I realized that there were zillions of jokes I'd never noticed because I watched it on TV, and I would do things, right? I'm in my house. I would get distracted.
Right.
So no, I'm not an expert because I haven't seen Gilda on the screen in a
So on
theater
the
yet,
screen,
and
do
I'll probably
people-
catch so many more things.
You
Do
are
people laugh,
this
though?
podcast leading expert in Gilda right
I'm
now.
okay.
True story.
That's a high honor.
Before we move on to the other stuff, I did want to talk about Detective Obregon.
Oh,
Who's
yeah.
like the cop, and he just
He's-
hangs around,
but he's, like,
doesn't
ready.
gamble, and
be-
he's the one that figures out. This
He's
goes
like
back
I'm
to
behind her right now, and he's like sitting back there looking.
He's not very sneaky.
And he's right there in the scene. He's very tall. And
Yeah.
so he's up above everybody else. I'm like, okay, nobody notices.
He
he's
is
not
kind of like
gambling.
the cop or one of the cops in Casablanca, though, where they're.
Yes.
Oh, what? There's.
I've seen
what's the great?
Casablanca once.
What's the great line about? I'm shocked. I
Yeah.
tell you, shocked to
Yes,
hear there's
the
gambling
gambling
in
in
this.
this casino.
And somebody kind of walks over and gives him a stack of money, and he walks out.
That would be so great. I do think that detective had more lines and more character in Casablanca than
Yeah.
the one in Gilda.
Well, but Obregon is the one that clarifies at the end that what's her name, that Gilda didn't sleep with any of those men.
Right.
He goes, oh, no, I was watching every move she made. And the guy's like, oh, wow.
And
In
that's
that
not
case, I like her. Okay, here's my big idea about the
that
movie.
is
That case
pretty
I like.
amazing.
Here's my big idea about the movie, is that these are kind of badass people who are involved in world affairs and crime and lots of money and
Yep.
Nazis and tungsten steel and all that kind of stuff. And their love lives and their emotions are very much like 16-year-olds. Did that seem?
Totally.
Does that sound like
Yeah.
an accurate statement? Just the jealousy of and how little the characters did to hide their Okay, I feel like being jealous of the person that your partner is something you probably should feel a little embarrassed about or ashamed of, or you need to investigate, but you don't just go around acting like it when you're a grown-up.
Yeah,
And these people didn't seem like grown-ups.
No.
But is that part of the the post-war thing? We ended up with the baby boom for a reason. We had 16-year-olds that were like 25, and they got together. I don't know.
I think that the analysis would actually show that Harry Cohn wanted Rita Hayworth to be a star in a film and make money off of her, and they came up with a basic plot, or Virginia Van Up did. She came up with a basic plot. She sold it to Harry Cohn for a bunch of money because she needed some money, and it was one of the few nice things he did. And he basically owned Rita Hayworth. So she had to
Okay.
play whatever part that he told her. And this was a moneymaker because Rita was in it, and Rita did a sensual
so
dance.
good. I thought it was-
And
oh,
the
she
hair
was
flip.
great.
I know. And audiences were just like you. They're like, yes,
Yeah,
Rita,
more of
right?
that.
So, I think that's the analysis of the film for you right there. If they could have acted
More
older
of
than
that-
their age. They could have acted younger than their age. The reality
matter.
is, it didn't matter. But I agree with you. Yes,
Have-
of course, they all acted like they're about 15, 16 years old.
Average guy wins.
Have you ever seen the movie Barton Fink?
I have not. No,
I'm gonna go back
I haven't
to
even heard
what
of
did
it.
you just call me?
Barton
Yeah,
Fink
no.
is a Coen brother movie
Oh.
about. It's my favorite movie about a writer.
Oh,
And Barton Fink is this writer, and he's a playwright, and he's kind of really serious from New York. And he has a play that's off Broadway, and it does well or something. And then he goes to Hollywood to write a screenplay, and it's a great kind of just portrayal of, because he just stares at the typewriter with no words on it for long periods of time. And he's hired to write a movie about wrestlers, and then he finally types and he goes, two large men enter a wrestling ring, period. And then he just stares at that for just so long you're uncomfortable as a viewer. And he finally writes this great thing, and then it's rejected by the producer and goes, I hired you to write a wrestling film, not this art thing you're doing. And that's what I'm getting out of this, is that they're like, hey, who gives a shit about the story?
Just write us a wrestling film.
I want some gambling. I want some Nazis. And mainly I want Rita. I want to see Rita with that slit up her dress. And when she walks, it kind of slides open a little bit. And you think you might actually see something. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do.
I want her to ask for help with the zippers all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's so terrible with zippers that are right here. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And of course, there's the whole ugliness behind all of that, with how the women were really just sex commodities.
Totally.
And so, like, she was a sex
And I'd just like to say
symbol.
I'm against that. Just in
can I
case
throw out
anybody was...
Your Honor.
Yeah.
But they were, to bring like what you're seeing on screen to real life. Her producer, Harry Cohn, bugged her room, harassed her through all of her marriages, didn't want her to be married because he wanted Rita was his property. He was a nasty man.
He sounds like the guy she was married to in the movie.
Yeah, and a lot. Her husbands fall into all these categories too.
Right?
But a lot of controlling people, a lot of people saying, Rita, this is who you are, and this is who we want you to be, and we want you to keep being Gilda. She looked at Virginia Van Up once, and she said, "I'm so sick of this cheesy Gilda," because she'd been playing that role so many times.
Yeah.
So the real story behind the movie is really more like the movie than I think we want to believe.
Yeah. Well, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, nonetheless, Rita survives as one of the, I think she was voted one of the top 100 stars of Hollywood.
Has to be.
Because she's just, Rita the person, I think, was probably more complex and interesting than we'll ever know.
Of course.
Her world, her life was very private. But yeah, so, if they were acting like 15 and 16-year-olds, maybe it was because they were in a world in Hollywood where there was a lot of 15 and 16-year-olds running the show. I don't know, but...
Well, that was my question, was it a more innocent time?
No.
And, yeah.
I mean, no, definitely not. And I think like I do think that because... the films that we've preserved from that time, a lot of them they're black and white for one. You can get away with a lot more in black and white. Everything seems more innocent. But the world, the imagination that was built around that time can feel like things were better, sweeter. World was good, but when you read the lives of these stars and what they actually went through, worse than some of us could possibly imagine. So definitely not an innocent time.
Yeah. I thought that too, but I thought that the childishness of the way the characters behaved was just the artifice of Hollywood, just like making this plot. And it makes total sense when you say that, they just threw the plot together. And they made it, let's make this guy so jealous. And he's transparently jealous, and he's going to start but the one guy he doesn't suspect at first is the one guy who's always with her.
Yeah.
And, it didn't make sense. And nobody cares, I guess, is what it comes down to.
One quick comment, but you go ahead first.
No, go.
So there's other things that jumped out at me.
Yeah.
One of them is that we have a guy who works in the bathroom, Uncle Pio.
Okay.
That guy is Argentine, so his name would be Tio Pio.
Nice.
And I was like, somebody just took the pen and was like,
Tio
Pio. Okay, Uncle Pio.
Yeah.
And that was one of those okay, you lost me for a minute. Like, the guy's name isn't Tio Pio. That doesn't make any sense.
Uncle, is he the one that stabbed the baddie in the back
Did he stab him? He's the bathroom guy. He's the one that calls him a peasant.
Yeah,
he was a great character.
Did he stab him?
Yeah,
he used the
he had
the cane that had the knife in it.
I have to go watch it again.
Yeah, we won't get into the whole homosexual plot going on too.
Oh, let's get into it.
No,
wow.
There's so many things with Rita. Well, and again,
going
back to your idea of an innocent time, there was, and Glenn Ford, by the way, was a great guy and was good friends with Rita. He's the one that plays Johnny. They actually talked about the homosexual tension between him and Balin at the beginning, because we don't get Rita. I don't know how many minutes into the movie. Is it 20 minutes until we get Rita?
Yeah.
And so there's like this, what do they call it? Well, I guess they call it heteroerotic tension between the two of them or something like that.
Is that what that's called?
I don't know. I'm homoerotic. Homoerotic. I'm sorry, I got that wrong.
Heteroerotic.
Homoerotic tension between the two of them at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And the characters, I mean, Rita, and they all talked about the fact that was there. So they're aware that this is also part of the plot where it's a threesome of jealousy going on there and all sorts of feelings and so and they're so in those old movies they're so good at like the stinging lines, right, that they write, and they just say them to each other, and it's so dramatic, it's over the top. We wouldn't say those things to each other in real life, like it's just not. And so you're watching them and you're just
never think of them in time for one thing.
It's imitating life, right?
Yeah, it's like clearly this was scripted for them. But I feel like that's what I love about these movies. They're like so clearly pretending.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just I don't know,
something totally over the top where in the end they're still just pretending.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But doing their best to
is.
seem like they're not, right?
And there's some crazy plot twists and other things, and this was a lot simpler. It was very entertaining. Highly recommend it. I told my mom what we were talking about today. Linda.
Mom's being an evoker.
And I told her she hadn't seen Gilda, and she's like, I've seen Gaslight, I'm going to watch it again. And she watched it. She's like, man, that was good. And I was like, okay, go watch Gilda. You're going to love it. Like it's a fun watch. Rita Hayworth is amazing. I thought it was fantastic.
So I have to share. The whole reason I started writing about Rita Hayworth, and what I'm writing about isn't strictly based on Gilda. This is the movie this is her iconic movie, and it's the one that the role she's most known for. I'm looking at a variety of things that have to do with her identity as half Spanish and half Irish, and her experience as a woman in the World War II pinup era, and a lot of things. But the reason I started writing about her is because it wasn't about me. Yeah. And all of my books so far are about real life, and even my Gaslight book is about my life.
I dig it.
So I wanted to write something that wasn't about me, and it's been a journey. I've just, I didn't actually know a lot about Rita. I'd watched a lot of old movies. I hadn't watched a lot of hers.
Okay.
And so I picked somebody that I didn't know too much about, and it's like...
I want to give a ding of appreciation for making the move from kind of generated writing, imaginative writing, to just totally outside yourself, which is never totally outside, but I get that, and I think it's
you've been working on something that's outside of yourself, I would say.
Say what?
You've been working on something that's outside of yourself, I think.
Is this? I feel like this is a setup for some cruel joke.
No, it's not.
No.
I don't want to mention it because I don't want to talk too much about something that's not like. Who have you sent it to? Have you sent it to the New Yorker yet? I'm
That's what this is all about.
You told me about
all the places I've sent. I've been rejected from the best places. That's all I got to say.
I don't want to get real specific, but you're working on something. I think it's outside of you.
I don't want to talk about that, but I do want to say that there is a point at which I hit that I just didn't want to write about my own life anymore. And, and I had like a little bit of a thing going with the Sun magazine, which is like, that's kind of like the highest profile kind of publishing I did in terms of how many people read that magazine and all that. And it was great. And I wanted to keep it going forever. But I either, part of it is just ran out of stories, but mostly I ran out of any spirit that I wanted to keep mining this personal, confessional kind of vein of, or whatever, and I've been trying to pivot away from that and write stuff that isn't, and it's been hard because, you find something that works, that people have published, that people like, and then to just go, I'm going to do something really different now.
Time out. As you guys talk about something I cannot at all understand.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I'm wired. Sorry. I'm going to go get drinks.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
are you good? Or would you like another one?
I'm good for now.
And you want it with tahini again, right?
I am not good at all. And,
He needs more.
No, that's a good one. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Thanks, bud.
just like you. I have many more stories I can write about, and I've written a lot of books. I have 5 right now still looking for homes.
Yeah.
Like, I can write a lot about my own life. I've had so many experiences, but I hit a place where I needed a break from myself. I needed a break from my own story. You
Have you heard anybody's feelings that are real people in real life because you've written about them?
I don't think so.
That's good.
I mean, some of the people that mostly I've written about me. So, and my kids. I've written about my ex-husband, but to be honest with you, he gave me, he's very much like, in a guilty way, sanctioned that because he was not okay, right? So my new book, and I'll give a plug for it because it is this is my favorite book of any that I've written.
Yeah.
This is one that came out with Texas Review Press called Tether and Lung, and that I'll be signing this weekend. And it is my ex-husband is now, he's a gay man. And but he didn't come out until after we were divorced. We were married 15 years.
I read the review or the blurb, and and tell me more about that. And
he's actually, so he's my it's a weird relationship because he did a lot of things where being near him makes me feel I'm terrified. Like I can't get rid of the fear that I feel. It's in the but at the same time, he's also acknowledged all of it, apologized to my kids, right? Apologized to me personally. So it's kind of that mix of I can't be around you, but thank you, right? For at least acknowledging it. It doesn't also take away all the things that happen. So, on the other part of that is he was living in a world, in Christianity where he was repressed. It's a world that we both had grown up in. So, like, even being okay with his identity, I was he's even told me this. He said, had he come out before we were married, I would have been his closest friend, as one of his best allies. Because I was accepting, and he knew that. And so, there's a whole complicated story there. And so I forget how we get here. How did I end up here?
No, it was about personal stories, but I asked if you heard anybody's feelings.
Yeah, so I was, with that book, like he's actually read the manuscript long before it was published.
Okay, wow.
So and I dedicated the book to him, even though we don't talk, we don't have any conversation. Our kids are grown now, but no, I think I mean I do sometimes.
I'm sorry you went through that. Let me just say that sounds really horrific.
It was really
me too.
I don't want to get into the horror, all the horrors of it, but there was definitely things that I'm very lucky I survived a lot of what I went through, and I've got other books that go more deeply into that. But there's a lot of people around my life that honestly I'm not close to anymore, not because I wrote about them, but because they were okay doing things that were so terrible that we don't have that relationship. So, it would be more if someone's out. You know
the line by Anne Lamott about this subject. Have you heard it?
I do. Say it again, though.
Here's a paraphrase. It's you own your own stories. If the people you write about wanted you to write about them, they should have been nicer to you when they had the chance.
That was the, and I don't hate any of the people that have done any harm to me. And when I write about these things, I'm really careful to look at all the stuff, including myself.
I
right?
hate them for you. Don't worry.
No, okay,
Yeah.
you can do that. But I'm also, in my books, I'm also looking at my own insecurities and the things that I had to navigate during that time and the ways that, so, there's a lot of stuff. And you should all buy my book, Tether and Lung, because it's absolutely gorgeous.
Buy it.
But yes, no, seriously, it's so,
Yep.
oh my gosh. On the front, there's the
Love
cover, there's a
Cigarette.
case.
Yes.
And a cigarette. And the cigarette case features a man with a horse, because my husband, my ex-husband had horses. But the cigarette case came from an Etsy seller in Ukraine. And I ordered it just to take that picture
Just to
for
have
them.
the pic.
Nice.
Yeah, and the book mentions film noir to connect it to all we're talking about. But yeah, I don't know, if someone's hurt by anything that I've written, I would hope they would read it and go, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have been a jerk. Or maybe I shouldn't have done that. Because I've had, I've got situations where I was actually left homeless for a while because of some of the people in my life. So, these are not minor things.
No.
So, anyway.
You're allowed to
write what you
to
write
about it.
And by the way,
that's kind of how I feel.
That's how. Well, I mean,
we'll have a link to
I did get
Tether
remarried.
and Lung in the.
you're allowed.
Oh, yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I just going to say that we're going to have a link on the notes of the podcast. So.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah, so-
absolutely.
Yeah. My new husband and I, we've been married a year and a half, and I think one of his initial fears was like, "What are you going to write about me?"
Yeah, he better be nice.
I
He's
know,
better
right?
walking
he better
on
be nice.
walking on eggshells. Every second he
Terrified.
does something wrong, just take out a notebook. Like,
Right? I actually joked about that with him a few times. I was like, "I'm writing that down."
I like it.
Yep.
But no, I've actually wrote some very beautiful things about him, so he better be appreciative.
See, that's the other side of it.
It's
That,
true,
You know,
yeah.
be partnering with a writer. You think of the bad things that could happen. What about the good things that happen?
Yeah.
You know, your
Very
memorial.
few.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very few.
There's like
Oh, man.
count them on one hand, probably.
Oh, geez.
All right. Well, on that note, should we talk Gaslight?
I think we should.
Because it sounds like
Gaslight.
maybe this hits a little closer to home,
Well, yeah. This
based
so-
on me being gone and missing.
It was. Can I paraphrase just
You may.
the poem?
Oh,
okay.
I'm giving you
the book of
maybe she should
poetry,
give you
but
the-
also just that it was autobiographical. Ex-husband was closeted, maybe to himself, gay, and really didn't come out until after the divorce.
Oh.
And that was a real bummer throughout the whole marriage. Is that a fair way to put it?
Sorry, bummer is not the right word. But okay.
Okay. I'll take back bummer.
Your reaction was amazing.
You know what?
That was very real. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't mean to correct you, Kimberly, but we are in
I
Los
was-
Angeles where people say things like
Bummer.
bummer.
I was severely
And-
traumatized from that. No, but yeah. So, but man, a bummer would have been good. but yeah, good paraphrase.
Relatively
Somebody
large bummer.
talked to me.
I like that. Actually, relatively large bummer is
Like-
a great
like
way
here.
to put it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Level.
yes.
Yeah, it was-
I think some of the temptation, for some of the things that I've been through in life, the temptation could be to always write about trauma, and
Oh.
and so I've even writing the Rita book, like I thought I was going to get away from it, and then I found out that she's been through some pretty terrible stuff, right? And I haven't even told you all of it, and so I was as I was exploring her life, I was like, oh, here we go again. But I'm writing her story, not my story. And so there is kind of the joy of discovering somebody else and honoring their life
Okay.
and honoring their pain instead of my own, which I think, we need that space. We need our the parts of ourselves that have been harmed need to be respected and cared for and loved. So I'm looking at her life now, and I am thinking about how I can do that while also thinking about national propaganda on war and pinup models. So it's turned into something you get buried in your research when you're doing a book of poetry, because poetry is not a research book. It is, right? It is, but it's also art, and so it's like what I need to bring into that. It can be hard to figure out.
Oh, yeah. The early stages are very messy, right? It's not.
It's all discovery.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's do Gaslight.
Yeah.
Cause you're not getting to talk, and
No, I'm good. I'm listening.
Steve talks a lot.
I'm a sponge.
But Gaslight, I guess I'd say one thing, and I kind of knew this, but the word gaslight has been used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it seems to have become just like anything that is not strictly true. That does not what was going on in this goddamn movie.
No.
It was completely different.
I disagree with your definition.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. To me,
How dare you?
I know. Yes. But to me, it's like you're deliberately. It's an ongoing deception, right? It's something that it's not a little white lie. It's not a lie.
But don't you think
lie
people are
after
throwing
lie
the
after
term
lie after
around
lie.
for any time? Hey, quit gaslighting me, man. Like, I don't know. I've
the
never
way
heard
that I
anybody
use it, because this hit real. I mean,
Okay.
I watched this.
This is
and I
your
thought of
wife.
a friend of mine.
Your wife, Anna Borderita, does that to you, right?
She does.
Yeah.
Lots of
That's-
gas.
She's like, Steve, you keep
She wouldn't know where
you
to
keep
start.
losing the thing, whatever it is, the keys. You're like, you're right. I can't find
I
them.
can't find my keys.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I was thinking of you.
I know somebody
Through the whole
who,
movie.
was definitely gaslit.
Yeah.
And bought it.
Yeah.
Knew.
It was terrifying.
This
fucking movie.
that he was wrong, and that he must have been crazy. She couldn't have been cheating on him. And later he's like, "How could I have been so dumb?" I'm like, "You weren't. You're not crazy."
Right.
And I wanted desperately to jump into this movie and to tell her, "You
Oh my God.
aren't crazy.
I love you.
You aren't crazy."
That's how you should feel. That's how this movie is freaking genius,
it's
and it's where we
amazing.
get the term gaslighting from.
Oh,
It is from
yeah.
this movie. Well, actually, this is the second time. I think this is the second Gaslight movie. But it was a Broadway play, or not a Broadway. It was a London play. I'm sorry, it's from London, it's. I'm going to agree with both of you, because I do think the term gaslighting is thrown around a lot, especially younger generations. It's kind of like it's gotten watered down, right? We don't know what it means anymore. And that happens with a lot of words.
Yeah.
Is that we forget what they actually mean and we start
Literally?
using them. Yes, literally. LOL. So I partly wrote the book for that reason. I'm like, let's go back, because I'm a rhetorician, right? Like that's part of. I'm a writer. I work with rhetoric.
That is a fancy word for this podcast.
I'm working in a writing and rhetoric department.
Yeah.
So I know it's a fancy. It's actually a fancy thing to say about myself. Maybe I don't qualify.
Qualify.
So-
Just using the word.
You're a
rhetorician,
rhetorician for sure.
That makes you one.
So this word needed. For me, I just was like, let's take it back to its root. But also, this is what happened in my marriage.
Yeah.
Right.
I was severely gaslit, and I was actually told I was crazy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was actually told I would be put in an asylum. So, when the book is my life in poems, alongside actually movie script clips where I tell the movie. Because I wanted the
That's
reader.
killer.
For me, a poetry book is not good enough if it's not educating. I want it to educate my reader in some way. So I want them to feel, but I want them to learn. And maybe I fail at that, but that's something that I value. So, and I don't think everybody's poetry has to do that. That's my value. So this book, it's like
Wait, could you
it's like
repeat
showing and telling.
Wait, what do you think poetry should do, or at least for your own poetry? I just
I think it should make my reader feel, and it should educate them in some way.
Yeah.
Like
delight and instruct is what Voltaire said is the
Oh.
purpose of literature.
Oh wow!
Isn't that cool?
Look at him. Yeah.
Look, I'm just like Voltaire.
Hey, I'm Kelly Daniels. I just quoted Voltaire.
Voltaire was born on November 21st. You know who else was born on November 21st?
I can't even fathom, I guess.
Kelly
Really.
Daniels.
Who?
Wow.
Oh, you.
The author, Kelly Daniels.
My parents got married on November 21st.
And look at
Oh,
that.
no.
I hope that was.
Important
I
date.
hope it worked out.
Yes, my mom's gone now, but yes, they were together
November
until
10th. My dad's gone now. So, 11th? 11th. 10th? Sorry, Mom.
I didn't mean to derail
right.
what you
No,
said, but I
no,
just
it's okay.
wanted to
But
kind
you
of.
did derail.
It's okay.
No, I love the
okay.
idea of what is art for. What are stories for? But anyway,
Well, let's go back to the movie. It's genius. And it was a play script, so it was written by a playwright in London. I wish I knew their name so I could honor them, but I don't remember. And I did get the original movie script because it's available. It's in the public domain to
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just to look at that alongside. But I worked with the movie itself, which stars Charles Boyer, Joseph Cotton, and Ingrid Bergman, and Ingrid Bergman. They used to call Rita the sinner and Ingrid the saint, and because that's how they were. That was the characters.
Angela Lansbury was pretty goddamn great too.
Oh my God, that was her first role. That was her
She was
first role.
killing it.
And I love Murder, She Wrote, and I live in Maine, and I'm like, Angela Lansbury is like, she rocks.
Was the promiscuous housekeeper.
I know, she's so good. She's so good.
She's great.
And her straight face, and so many, just
she sings. Does sing.
She was
she's
terrible.
amazing.
And
She's
great.
amazing.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but my favorite part of the movie is the very end when they have Charles Boyer, and I'm going to forget
She's
his...
doing it to him.
Where he's tied up, and she goes, key, what key? She's totally, was it a key, right? A key.
Yeah.
Yes, the key. It's been
Wait,
a while
no,
since I
knife.
watched
It was a
it.
knife.
It's a knife.
It's a knife.
Knife in the bro.
Oh,
Yeah, because she wants him to cut the rope.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's like, you could. And he's trying to play his mind tricks on her. She goes, knife, and she drops a knife. What knife or whatever?
I lost the
and
knife.
she goes, I don't know. I can't find it. I keep losing things because I'm crazy. And
yeah.
I was just like,
It's amazing.
Oh, it's so overplayed and wonderful. And I love her in all of her movies. She's a great actress. But
I think the movie is really fun. It made me, I hope this doesn't speak too badly, it made me want to gaslight people in that same way, just to see how much I can get away with it. What do you mean?
Oh
You know, what do you mean you paid?
Podcast?
What do you mean
What
by yeah?
podcast?
Yeah.
no. Never podcasted in my life.
We're not.
What do you
we're
mean
not
you
talking
paid
to
for the
microphones.
drinks? Like, no. Oh, yeah, you're always forgetting that, especially about money. But it's okay. Don't worry about it. You're just a little dear.
You're just a little dear.
It is so fucked up the way that guy does that.
Oh man.
And
Yeah.
I was really, really tense and angry through most of that movie, and because I thought this is going to be a spoiler, I guess, if you 1944.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it yet, I don't know.
Right.
But
We don't
I
even
kind of thought it was going to be one of those noirs where it's just fucking evil at the end and the devil wins. And I'm like, oh, they're going to murder this poor girl or steal all her stuff or whatever.
Not what I expected.
And then she just comes back, and they had that detective guy.
But
they needed that
what
guy
I expected was
There's a detective in all these movies.
Yeah. Somebody needs to solve the problem.
Right.
That's Deus Ex Machina.
And
And
they're
it's always
very
the one.
attached.
It's always the one barely doing anything throughout the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Too,
Yeah.
and it's like, but I solved it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted your
No.
thought.
No, it was your Steve. You were saying something. You were getting kind of like excited about something.
You guys go ahead.
Well, I do think that they have this detective character that just solves all the problems that isn't really involved in whatever.
I wanted there to be a twist.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like, oh my God.
I thought she was going to
really
kill him.
was gaslighting him. And she was the one that was. And
You
that's a
wanted
very
that?
modern, kind of.
I
'cause
like-
it's like the modern take. Right?
I like because in some ways, we're getting the opposite from Gaslight that we got from Gilda.
Right.
Gilda is all about
I
making
wanted you
money.
to make the connection of what you saw.
Yeah, Gilda
Okay.
is all about making money off of Rita Hayworth.
Okay.
And it's about just give me any old damn script and get this woman on screen and have her be seductive and people will pay. Whereas
Like the 40s. Yeah.
Yes, and I haven't done, to be honest, I haven't done all the historical backdrop information on Gaslight because my book that I did with that didn't require that. I was
Okay.
working more with the idea of gaslighting. But if we just look at the movies, Gaslight was a play that was written in London. Okay, we're talking more high art, right? And obviously, the person that wrote this play was exposing something psychological, right? Something about our nature, our human nature. And so you've got a movie that is not all tropey and cheesy like Gilda. You've got a movie that is trying to successfully really educate, right? Its audience on how the mind can be slowly and seductively manipulated so that someone can take advantage of us.
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted the jewels. That's it. Which almost to me seemed like a dumb thing. But then you also like get the part where it's like, but when people become obsessed with anything, it can be jewels or one of these palm trees over here. Like they'll just do everything to get hold of one of these palm trees. And it's such a bad example.
No, it's not.
But to get what they want,
They're fake.
Wait,
I'm
but it
sorry
doesn't matter. Wait,
They're
no, we're going to
fake?
talk about the
Imperial palms.
after this.
On our drive,
Oh no!
on our drive here.
No, wait, let her finish.
I've done
Okay.
no research on imperial palms, so I hope this
It's
won't
okay.
expect it much.
These could be $5,000 a piece.
Those aren't imperial.
You
Do
shush.
you think they'll notice
Okay,
if we
I
take
need
one?
to shush.
Yeah.
He could just. They'll probably,
He's gaslighting you.
notice.
I'm gaslighting him.
I could. Did you say 5 million?
5,000.
I could use 5,000 too. If you
Couldn't
guys
we
want to
all?
walk out with one, just okay. Anyway, we won't do that.
Those aren't real,
What he's
right?
referring to on our drive down here, I was just pointing out California isms to him as the kind of a Midwesterner, and I was born and raised in these parts. And I said, "Oh, those are imperial palms, and they're really these beautiful palms." And I just said that there was this rash of people stealing them, like small ones from rich people's landscaped yards. And they would just have a truck would pull up, and a bunch of guys would jump out and dig up these palms and nobody would think about it because their trucks full of landscapers are constantly showing up in rich people's neighborhoods. But they were like worth like $5,000 each for like a 6-foot tall imperial palm. Like they're just like really nice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So where can
that-
we find one?
What's that?
Where can we find one?
Yeah. You just
Right
drive
on here.
around.
Do you have a truck?
I don't have a truck, but you could probably get a U-Haul. And I think the West Hills, like of Hollywood, is. I think that's where everything burnt down, though. So maybe that's been complicated a little bit.
$10,000 a palm.
Yeah,
You're
the
telling me.
palms
That's
are.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah. They're. So anyway,
Price went up.
Okay.
right.
We'll move on from the palm topic.
We could take a couple of those in our carry-on bag. Probably. You have like all those points. You can put
I do.
imperial
Yeah,
palm in
I get
your.
3 check bags free.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We tried it today.
Okay, this is at the point in the podcast where we like to say we actually don't condone stealing
No, we don't think we should
or
do that
palms.
Your
or
Honor.
anything.
because
Your
it's
Honor.
wrong.
That's right. It is.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked. Yeah, I liked that she got him at the end. That was satisfying, but it took
Way to
a
bring
long.
it back.
It took a long time to get there, and it was stressful. The way he
It's
was.
supposed to be.
Oh, I know. The way he was fucking with her just felt all too, I think, familiar, even if you can't come up with a specific person who's done that to you.
Yeah.
It just seems too real.
Yeah.
And that's
Payoff
why
is-
that.
the payoff in the last scene is phenomenal.
It is, but I would also like to add, if you've been messed with that long, probably you couldn't do what Ingrid did at the end of that movie,
Okay.
right? Like you're just like your mind has been so broke down because she was really broke down in that movie. Like we're not, the way that he was convincing her that she lost things and that she was like putting things in weird places.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, like that really.
That letter was never there.
Yeah.
She's like, what the
And
Yeah.
and you do that for a long period of time, and of course you can't actually play that role in the end. But we're talking about old movies where
Yeah.
you do have to suspend some reality,
Yeah.
and again, it was to educate the reader, or not the reader,
Oh, yeah.
the watcher,
Watcher.
right? And it's so satisfying. It is
so good.
It's my favorite monologue. In
She,
the
it
world.
was great.
Yeah.
It was really
I wish
good.
I had it here to read.
Well, and I thought she was going to stab him too, which made
Yeah.
it more exciting. But then she just
And then
drops
she
the
didn't.
knife.
And then she didn't.
Oh, it's this
I
big
love
old
it.
knife. He goes,
but
get the
that's-
knife and cut the rope. He goes, oh, the knife. Yeah, it's here.
That's
oh,
the
wait.
best part. She doesn't stab him. She just leaves him
Yeah,
in shock.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Right? It's like
It's-
she's not the terror.
It's a
She's
No,
not
Brilliant
he's not a
ending.
monster. Yeah.
No. Yeah, and he's just kind of like he thought he had all this control.
And what about the comic element of the nosy neighbor?
Yes.
And
Yes.
she gets
she's
the
been
last.
nosy since the train.
And she gets the last line of the whole movie. She comes in and
She
she
sure
sees the romance between the
Ingrid Bergman and Joseph Cotton.
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I can't think of their
And she's
their
like,
names.
oh my, whoa, like yeah, it's so great.
It's so
Oh.
great. Yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed Gaslight. And like I said, I told my mom I was I was watching it. She's like, oh, I'll watch it. And then today she's like, oh my God, it was so good. It really was. And Casablanca is her favorite movie.
Oh my God! I mean Casablanca. Like, I mean, it's not even. You've got the tropey romance in that and all that stuff, but you also the humor in Casablanca.
Yeah.
I've seen it once. We
Oh.
might need to rewatch this, Kelly.
You just
Yeah.
you have to watch it in a theater because you won't catch it. Because when you're home on the TV, like
You're gonna skip something.
you miss some the humor. Oh, it just blew me away when I finally caught it all. I was laughing. I was in this little tiny theater in Pittsburgh where you could, have wine or beer, and I'm there with my glass of wine in these really, comfy seats, and I
Oh,
paid
yeah.
like $6 for this movie, and I'm watching Casablanca, and there's nothing to distract
How many
me.
people were in the theater?
It was, I think it was full, but it was
Yeah.
tiny. It was tiny.
Yep.
But and I'm just watching this movie, and I'm laughing constantly, and I'm like, I
And other
didn't
people
even
are
know this was
laughing,
funny.
right?
Everybody's laughing.
That's
yeah.
the fun part.
Like
Yeah.
it's such
Yeah.
a great movie, and it hit at the right time, post-war America, and there
Oh,
were
yeah.
just when people needed what was happening there. But I haven't researched this in depth, so I can't say too
Yeah.
much. I can just say
You can talk
yes,
about like what you
Casablanca.
like and
I love these movies.
Yeah.
It's so nerdy how many times I watch them after having 20 times, 30 times. I watch I Love Lucy, the television show.
I watched it as a kid.
Over
I
and
definitely watched I
over.
Love Lucy.
It
Yeah.
just they don't get
Yeah.
old for me, and maybe I'm unique, maybe I'm not.
So my grandmother Helen Hodges and Gil Hodges, whose daughter Gil Hodges' daughter's name is Gilda.
Oh,
Okay.
Good old Gilda Hodges, Gilda
Wow,
Dews
that's a lot
now,
of
my
shout-outs.
aunt. They all live up the way in Orange County. And
Are we gonna see
my
them?
grandmother and my grandfather both have passed now. They've lived very old, good lives. But they absolutely, and I lived with them for a while, they were very important to me in various ways. But they were totally Lucy and Ricky, and not that they just like, I'm putting that on them, or that just, they watched Lucille Ball and Ricky Ricardo, and they acted like those two characters and those people. And, they grew up outside of L.A., and my grandmother was a model, and my grandfather was he was an L.A. guy. And so anyway, that's
pretty cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It is cool.
Oh, speaking of, I went to the Hollywood Museum today.
Ooh.
It is totally cheesy, but they had Max Factor. You know Max Factor, the makeup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
After
Say
you
okay.
just said yes.
Okay. So
All right.
Max Factor.
Heard of it.
Max Factor was the makeup company that served Hollywood
Okay.
back in the day, and now they're like a cheap brand. But I think they're a cheap brand. But they did Marilyn Monroe's makeup, Rita
Okay.
Hayworth, Lucille Ball, all the stars. So they had what's called the Max Factor rooms, and they have them. I was in the Max Factor building. That's
Okay.
where the Hollywood Museum is. And so they have the red room, the blonde room, the brunette room, and the brunette room. And the
nice.
the colors are like, if you're a redhead, the color is green. Like that's your best color. And so Lucille Ball and Rita Hayworth are featured in the green room. And I got to see the jewelry that Gilda wore that Hayworth wore in Gilda.
Yeah.
And I got to see her vanity set. And then, of course, there was a ton of stuff for Lucille Ball. But, you know, what's interesting about it, and the reason I did this is that and maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the one that is like this, but I'm writing poetry. I'm not writing a biography. I'm writing something that is supposed to, it's asking my reader to, how do I say it? To be with the human. And for me, when I get close to or even touch what somebody else from another time period has used, like this was her comb, right?
Right.
I almost cried. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I just felt like kind of choked up.
Today?
Yeah, and I did that today. And I was looking at her
You were
like...
touching the stuff?
No, I didn't get to touch it. It was
Okay.
behind
But you
glass.
saw
I
it.
wish. I saw it, yeah. I saw it, and I saw
Okay.
it. It was all behind glass. And I'm staring at her like it's her vanity set, like her comb. And you know, Hollywood makes these women into the dolls, the sexy... you know,
Right.
she was referred to as a love goddess, the love goddess.
I think you're making it very real. Like
Yeah.
that's the comb.
That was the thing is I'm looking at this comb, but then you realize you know, I'm just standing there. Maybe it's just me. I shouldn't say everybody does this, but like I'm looking at the objects that she touched and she used, and it's just like it just hits you at a deeper level. This was a person who had complexity beyond what we see on the screen.
Yeah.
You know, like what we see on the screen, what we get, what most of us hold in our imagination is not the Margarita Carmen Cancino was her name.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
you know, she was her father was Spanish, her mother was Irish American, and she learned flamenco, and like this is a whole human being, and like it's so easy in our digital age to lose that.
Yeah.
To lose, we see each other even now, like through these screens, right, and stuff, and like, but I don't know. For me, when I get close to those things,
Yeah. I
Makes
get it.
sense.
All
I'm
you
gonna
watching
look at
out
it
there, all
differently.
you listening, we're real people.
we are real
we
people.
want you to kind of like just bask in our
I mean, I'm kind of real.
kind of real. Steve is an AI.
I'm like the.
Steve is an AI that is like,
I see the world very differently, I think, than a lot of people, and that terrifies me, and it makes me really happy. But it's also like I'm not wired the same. So it's
I'm
all right.
actually going to put my hand through his face right now, and you're going to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
this is a digital image.
Wait, hey, I want, speaking of everything, I want to,
all the things.
I
All of
want
it.
to create a new viral kind of term.
Okay.
Ready?
Oh,
It's
dear.
one of those kind of like slangy things.
You're about to
Okay.
crown the custard.
All these people, okay. It has to do with what we've been talking about, and it doesn't have to be gendered, but usually you can imagine. Here's a scenario:
All right.
a boyfriend, jealous boyfriend, kind of like the first movie we watched. Just like doesn't want anybody else looking at his girlfriend and possessive.
Yeah.
And she is doesn't quite understand how he's working her in that way. And she's got these puts on these pants, these great jeans, and she puts them on. Goes, how do I look? He's like, they don't look that great. They're like they're not really flattering to you, and it's objectively wrong. She looks great in these, and he doesn't want her to go out and doesn't want other people to look at her, and that's the thing. And that's called ass lighting. What do you think? Has it got legs?
I kind of
Ass
doesn't
lighting
got legs.
instead of gaslighting.
I kind of hope it
It's
doesn't have legs.
It took so long to get there.
I know,
so
right?
not worth it,
I
but it
was
was
expecting
amazing.
a lot more.
I know.
I was really excited.
Ass
I'm sorry.
lighting.
I'm sorry.
But it's like, how about, you look fat. When really he's saying you look luscious.
God.
But that's ass lighting.
I like it.
Yeah. It happens more than you think.
I'm not going to write a poetry book about that.
Not everything needs to be a
Not
poem.
with that attitude. You're
Not everything. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Appreciate
You're the
it.
best.
Oh my god.
And
that was a lot of fun.
here's the outro music. And everybody, by Tether and Lung,
Tether
rate
and
us and
Lung.
review us 5 stars on all the apps and all that stuff.
Whatever.
And, yeah. And thanks to LA for being nice to us so far.
And CDMX.
Yeah.
Not comics.
Yeah, I screwed that one up, man. That was anyway. Thank you very much, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Yep.